Happy Memorial Day to those of you in the U.S. Yes, today is a holiday, but we're still here because we have had an important question in our community asked by Carrie about, do you offer free trial lessons? And I think this is a really great question. It's an honest question because in the beginning, we just don't know. So thanks for joining us today. My name is Joanne Kaminsky. I've been tutoring online since 2010, and I've been helping tutors since 2012 with their online tutoring business. And I'm so glad that you guys are here today. I see that we have lots of people coming on into the house. So please introduce who you are, where you're from, what you tutor. We want to learn a little bit more about who you are today. So thanks for joining us. We're going to be talking and diving deep into this today and really getting into all of the ifs, ands, buts, all that great stuff. So here's the cool thing. Okay, so I put a poll out there because there was like over 111 responses from you guys in the Ultimate Support Group for Online Tutors. Now, that's a lot of responses from one question, right? And so I was like, oh my gosh, this is a really important topic for us to be able to chat about and discuss and do. So I would love to know from you guys, do you offer a free trial lesson or a free session before the client says yes to getting started with you? Now, we had more people, an astounding number of people say that they do not offer a free trial lesson when they do this. So I'm going to share a little bit about, what did I do when I got started? Did I offer a free trial lesson? And I did. In fact, here was my process because I had no experience, you guys, with the sales process, right? I mean, I was a teacher coming out of the school system, starting my tutoring business. So I did not have any sales knowledge when I jumped into this. So I actually made these bandit signs. Many of you guys have heard me talk about this before that had my phone number on them. So most of my leads were coming directly from a phone call. I would answer the phone and I would have about an hour discussion with these people. And then I would offer them a free assessment. During the free assessment, I would then say, hey, I'm going to get all this information together, and I'm going to also offer you 2 free sessions. So now they got a free assessment. They got an hour of my time chatting on the phone, and they got 2 sessions absolutely free. And it ended up that was 4 hours of my time. Now, I would have to say, now this is very interesting because one of the people in the comments says that she uses the strategy as well, and it gets her more referrals right out of the gate. And it absolutely did get me more referrals out of the gate because before the person even started working with me, sometimes they would refer me to other people right away. So there was a plus to it. It was almost like the time that I had invested had worked out in a positive way. However, this was still 4 hours of my time that I could never get back. And this happened every single time. Someone would call, I'd chat with them for an hour. I would then invite them to the free assessment. That took an hour. It would probably even took me at that point in time about a half hour to an hour to write up the assessment. And then I would send the assessment. So there was an email involved there, right? So there's more time. And then I would do the free 2 hours of tutoring. So wish I had somebody else guiding my hand as I was making some of these decisions early on. I then about 2 years later decided, I'm going to cut this down. I'm going to take away one of the free sessions and only give 1 free session instead of 2. But I realized something really important pretty quickly after I did that. And that was, this is still, it's not getting me a better result. I mean, yes, everybody is saying yes to the tutoring for the most part, unless I offered them a coupon, like I did like these different events and I would have them spin and win. You've seen those kinds of deals before. And I'd give them, a free assessment and free sessions. And that did not turn out into them saying yes. And that was really interesting to me that I could give away a free session on the phone and it worked, but when I gave it to them for free, that way through the spin and win, it did not land a client. So that didn't work for me. So there's a lot of trial and error going on for me. And I decided, you know what, I feel like I need a little bit more training in this whole sales process piece. And I ended up joining this training. It was a $20,000 training. I was really convinced that I just needed the right people to teach me how to do sales because I lacked that information and that knowledge. And so I actually had to travel out to California in order to get this training 4 times throughout the year. And it was 4 weekends that I had to go on out there, get a hotel, all that great stuff. But don't worry, you're not going to have to pay $20,000 today, because I'm going to be sharing all of the golden nuggets with you. So what I ended up learning from there is I was really going about this process the wrong way. And so having a sales conversation really actually has nothing to do with me. So I thought I had to do a lot of talking about me, who I am, where I've worked, talk about, my experience, how many years I've been doing this, all that kind of stuff. Like, I thought that was the kind of information that people wanted because they wanted to learn more about me. And they may have, but I learned very quickly as I attended these trainings that I need to get curious about the specific client that I'm working with. And so I ended up having, now frank conversations where I'm getting all the information that I need in order to be able to work with them right after the free assessment. So I changed my entire model as I went to this training. I still did the free assessment, but I had a sales conversation immediately after that free assessment. And I also had I teach people, if they're going to do a consultation, that they move right on into a sales conversation at the end of that consultation. And I share with you exactly how to do that. There's a free download that I've created for you guys. I'm going to put a link inside of the chat here. Let's see if it still comes on up. It should go to both YouTube and Facebook with that link in there. So hopefully that works. If not, please, Beth, if you can put that link inside of Facebook, that would be fantastic so people have that. But it's a sales conversation cheat sheet that I'm giving to you guys absolutely free just for showing on up today so that I can help you have this sales conversation a lot better. But what I ended up learning was I need to get curious about their child. And this changed everything. So from me asking questions, instead of them asking me questions, asking me how much I charge, it changed everything, you guys. So I ended up now, my conversation started sounding more like this. Tell me more about what your child is struggling with. What are the teachers seeing in his classroom? What are you noticing at home? If I were able to wave a magic wand over your child, what would they be able to do that they are not able to do today? This is getting clear on what does the child need, right? So that's a sales conversation. And then are you ready to get started? I take the information that they say and I kind of repeat it back to them. So I'm hearing you say that, he's struggling with being able to get his homework done quickly enough in school. At home, it just seems like he's reading really, really slow. If he takes enough time, he can figure out the words, but he really just wants to rush through his work. And you would just love if he could be able to do his work without arguing with you. Is that right? Yes. Awesome. So as I was doing the assessment, so I'm bringing the assessment information in. I'll say, I noticed that he is struggling with some of the phonics patterns. Those are some of the things that he's really struggling with. And so I really want to make sure that he can break up those multisyllabic words. Those are words, those big, long words that it seems like you can't figure out. I want to help him to develop a strategy that's going to get him more success. And that way he'll be able to read those words. He'll be able to complete his homework. He's going to fight and argue with you less. And, he's going to be a much happier kiddo on your hands. Is that something that you're interested in? And they'll say, yes, that's exactly what I want. Awesome. Are you ready to get started then? Yes. All right, let's come up with a time. I have this time open each week. Would that still work for you guys? Is this a time that you have available? They say yes, and I'm scheduling it right away. Okay, so I'm not waiting to even schedule it. And then I move on to, great, here's what's going to happen next. And I'm very clear with them on what is going to happen next. I send them the free assessment page of all of my things that I've noticed. And I send them expectations. That's where I handle all of the questions about payment and all that kind of stuff. So they're not like shocked by the time that things get started. And they know exactly how much it's going to cost and all of that great stuff. So that is something that to take a look at as you are trying to think about, okay, what is going to be the best process for me? So free sessions, they worked. Yes. Was it the best use of my time? Probably not. And so I could have been spending more time on getting the word out there about my business versus giving the free assessments, the free sessions. And I learned how to, nail it down. Like sometimes I can be done now with the free assessment and the consultation, 1 hour, done. I have all the information I need to get started with their child. I know exactly what the parent wants, and I am able to go. Now it takes time. Okay. So it might take you an hour and a half. I used to schedule an hour and a half. Once I cut it down from the 4 hours, I would schedule an hour and a half for every single new client to make sure that I had enough time to do the assessment and then have that conversation with the parent. And one thing that I have found out is that a lot of the parents are actually able to see a result without me even actually doing anything. Like me finding out doing the assessment, they always tell me that their kid never reads like that for them. And like that's a piece for them that really sells on that the fact that their child is performing for me when they wouldn't perform for them is kind of enough convincing that they need. So just kind of doing that free assessment, that's what works for me. Now, there are lots of people, they've got 100% of their people saying yes to online tutoring, and they do a free trial session. There's no reason to change anything. If there's nothing that is bothering you about your process, there's no reason that you need to change your process, right? And so I absolutely want you guys to know that this isn't going to be something that's going to be 100% exactly the same for everybody. I have figured out a system that works for tutors, whether it be the free assessment, the free consultation, and then the sales conversation. That works. And I have had people tell me that they have gone from, 1 out of 10 people saying yes to now 8 out of 8 people saying yes. And that actually just happened in our last Jumpstart group, which was absolutely amazing. So you can get you can't open it. You know what? I will figure out why. I'll figure out what the document is on Xena and we'll fix it. So Xena, just try to click on the free sales conversation. I'll see what file I have that under and make sure that it was an old one that I had created to share this with other people. So it was something I'm reusing. So I'll see if it's in a file format that doesn't work for some computers. That might be the problem. So I will check to make sure that it is a PDF document that you'll be able to open. So as soon as you fill out the form, you should get an email with the download for you to be able to utilize. So I will definitely check that out, make sure that you guys are able to utilize that and use that. So, definitely take a look at it because I have the questions there for you on what are the questions that I should be asking. So I think, I think that you don't need a free trial lesson or to get people to say yes. But there are people out there that are using it and it works for them. There's no need to change it. If something's not broke, there's no need to change it, right, guys? Seriously, like we don't have to fight our point and to the death. Right? It's honestly, this works for me. Try it. If it works for you, cool. If not, be on your way. That's fine. And I think this is kind of cool because, Andrew mentioned that if you're offering free sessions, it's because you need to work on your offer. I think there's some validity to that. I know I needed to work on my offer. I didn't really have a very good offer in place. I thought, they call you, you chat with them, you get them on the free assessment, and then I wasn't confident enough. Like for me, it was definitely confidence. I wasn't confident enough that they were going to want to move forward with me and they were going to want to try it online. Now, when I got started, it was, in my defense, 2010. There was a lot of convincing I needed to do to get people to do online tutoring. It was a different world then. Today, after the, post-pandemic, everybody's now a lot more open to the whole idea of doing something online. I mean, some people might say, oh, my kid doesn't learn online, but that's when you just share the difference between online tutoring and online schooling. And there is a big difference there, because online tutoring does not make a difference whether it's online or in person, because I'm right here. I'm still interacting with your child one-on-one. Online schooling, the teacher of the class is having to divide her own attention into 24, 30 different positions, right? So she's trying to make sure that the people inside of the classroom are getting what they need. She's trying to make sure that the kids that are in Zoom, they're getting what they need. There's a lot that's going on. One-on-one is one-on-one. If I can get a result here with them sitting next to me, I can get a result online. It's no different, because they're the ones that are doing most of the work. I'm not sitting there and just kind of talking at them. So you could still convince people, even if they think their child can't learn online, that online tutoring is not the same thing as online schooling. And I think that there is a big, big difference there. And I think another person Charlotte said that she was being asked to offer a free session and found that it attracted non-serious clients that travel from one tutor to the next that offer free help. Now, I haven't had that with my particular clients, but not all of our clients are exactly the same, right? I'm working with children. The parents, they just want to be done. They want to find a tutor, be done, and hand it off. But if you're dealing with adults, I've heard of some people that teach languages to adults, that happening. I can't see that would get a very good result for those particular students, because they don't have somebody who can ever get to know them, right? They're going from one practice session to another, and you're not really getting, I wouldn't see how you would be able to get very far with that process. And it would be annoying to have to continually look for a new tutor every single time, so I would think in her case, definitely do a free, consultation, find out what are the goals of the student. Now, I noticed that there are different people that mentioned a different name. Some people called the consultation a meet and greet. They seem like the same thing to me. So if you guys haven't, if you're using the word meet and greet and it's working for you, keep it. There's no reason to change it. But it sounds like a meet and greet is the same exact thing as a free consultation, right? This is where you're getting to know what are the goals of the specific student and the parent. What are they struggling with? You're finding out what you can specifically help them with. What is a result that they want to be able to get at the end of the day? How are you going to be able to bring them there? You're having a conversation all about them, right? And so a meet and greet and a free consultation, they sound the same, as long as you make sure that right after that conversation, you're having that sales conversation. The sales conversation starts with, are you ready to get started? And they say yes or no. So what I do is I just restate everything that they've told me. That is the most important, I feel like. Obviously, I'm not repeating word by word by word everything they say, but I am repeating what they have told me. And then I am restating that as to how I can make that happen. And then I ask the question, are you ready to get started? That's the sales conversation. They say yes. Sometimes people will say, well, I need to chat with my significant other just to make sure this is a good fit. Every time somebody has told me that they need to chat with their significant other, they still move forward. So it isn't something that I have to worry about. I just let them know, here's the next step. I'm going to share with you the free assessment, all of the details about the free assessment that I just did. I'll send you that report, and then I'm going to send you an expectations letter. You can share both of these things with your spouse, and you can let them know, that you're ready to get started. If you're ready to get started next week, I can get started next week. And we move from there. And I just say, when do you think you'd be able to have that conversation with your spouse? And they say, probably tonight. I mean, it shouldn't take me that long. Awesome. Great. Is it okay if I touch base with you tomorrow and ask how that conversation went? And they say, yes. Excellent. I will chat with you tomorrow, and you enjoy the rest of your night. It was great getting to meet you. And that happens. Yep, Kathy has book a chat. That's fine. Your wording is going to be your wording, whether it's at the end of the day, a meet and greet, book a chat. Those are all the same things as a free consultation. They don't cost the client anything. You don't make money from it. I mean, I haven't heard of any tutors doing a paid consultation, but other industries do. They'll do a paid consultation if it's like a like some health people will do a paid consultation, or maybe they'll do that inside of like a fitness studio. They'll do like a paid consultation. But, you know, the basic recipe is just you get a free consultation. We're going to find out if there's something that I can help you with, and then we move on. Yeah, absolutely. So, oh, and that's very interesting. So here's what Robert found out. He said that if they need to talk to their significant other, he never hears from them again. So here's how you handle that. This is what I learned in my Sales 101 class. If that happens to you, you just, you can ask them a question about that. So you can say, oh, I absolutely, appreciate that you need to talk to your spouse. Can I ask you a question about that? And they say, yes. If your spouse were to say yes, is this something that you would want to move forward with? And so you're finding out right now, is there something that's holding them back from wanting to get started? Right? Maybe it's, they might say that it costs too much or any of those. Then you just know right out of the gate, and you don't have to waste your time, with that particular client. You're not sitting there just waiting, continuing to email them back, and they're not getting back to you. You feel like you were ghosted. You're just kind of getting at the heart of it. And now you have to manage that as an objection. It's very rare that we have to handle objections in the tutoring industry. I've worked in other industries of sales where you do have to be able to handle those objections. And there are very few objections that we have to handle. The most important objection is the how much do you charge for your tutoring services, right? Like that's the one where you'll get probably a little bit more kickback if they don't have a great way of being able to find out tons of information about you online already, or you don't have, the answer on your website. I have that on my website listed. And then I have as well, it listed as an objection, and how I'm actually the cheaper option. And so a lot of people have already seen that before they even get to me, and I've already handled that objection. So think about your frequently asked questions that people say. Think about objections that they give you, and you can handle that objection ahead of time inside of those frequently asked questions. And that will save you a lot of time of having to talk with the wrong people. You'll have more time to be able to talk to the right people, because your time is going to be limited at some point. You're going to continue to get more students, and then you're going to be book solid. And once you get book solid, you don't have time to have those longer conversations, right? So the quicker you could kind of bring this down, that onboarding process, from the time that they message you to the time that they say yes to your tutoring services, the more that you can cut that down, the more time you can be spending working with actual students, which is awesome. It's so interesting. I see this message here about looking for a Spanish tutor for your high schooler, and told the tutor that you wanted to start in May, and she has not followed up. And that is the expectation, you guys. So a lot of people, they feel like they're annoying people when they follow up. No, it's just best business practice. People actually respect you when you follow up. It's when you don't follow up that they don't respect you. So if you feel like you're nagging them or hounding them, don't feel like that at all. People get lost in the system, right? Like you are just like, parents are busy and things happen. And so I would absolutely... I was just gonna say, hey, check out Beth. Beth helps high schoolers with Spanish. That might be a great person to follow on up with. That way, you have somebody you can be a great fit for your child. But I find too, like I've reached out to people and asked them about services, and then they don't follow up with me afterwards. Sometimes I don't even return your phone call. And I got to tell you, it is all about initiative, people. The person that is quickest to the horn is the person who's quickest to get that person to say yes. So as soon as people message me, I am like, tell me more about what your child is struggling with. So if they're messaging me on email, if they're messaging me from my website, if they're messaging me in Facebook, I ask that next question, tell me a little bit more about what they're struggling with. And they tell me, or I'll ask a question like yesterday I asked, does it seem like your child, because they just said they're struggling with reading. I said, does it seem like your child is struggling more with phonics or with comprehension? And she's like, I think it's kind of a little bit both. And so I said, that led right on into then, I'd love to set up a time to do a free assessment to find out a little bit more about what your child is struggling with. Get on the horn right away. Give them the times that are going to work this week for doing that assessment or having that consultation. Get them on a Zoom conversation. When they get to see you in person, it changes everything. All of a sudden now they're like, oh, okay, this guy's pretty cool. I want to be able to work with him, right? The other big thing is you want to make sure that you are always in control of the conversation. You don't want to let the conversation to be just handed on over to them to ask you a question. Because a lot of times if you have a big pause, they're going to ask that question of, so how much do you charge? Right? And it's not the right moment yet. So get all of the answers to your getting curious questions answered. It could be like, has your child ever received special ed services, right? They never want to seem to tell us that. So I'll ask that question sometimes if I'm thinking that maybe that was something that could be holding them back. Has your child ever received special ed services? Have they ever received any kind of like reading intervention before? Has the teacher been in communication with you with any of the problems that they're seeing? Those are great questions because they really make you seem like an expert in your field. And it gives them the opportunity to answer, right? They're talking about their child. And when you do that, it makes a huge difference. So get curious, you guys. Ask them, repeat what they say. Get curious. Ask more questions. And then restate. Get them to just ask, are you ready to get started? Set up a time. And then message them additional information after the conversation. That's going to show that you're taking initiative. It's going to show that you know what it is that you're doing, and it's going to make you stand out as looking like an expert in your field. So hopefully this helps as you guys are thinking about what should I do in my business? Should I do a free trial session? If you're already doing it and it's working, there's no need to change. But I would say try this new system with a free assessment or consultation or the meet and greet or the chat with the sales conversation and get them to say yes to the tutoring, and you'll be on your way. Hopefully this helps you guys. I'm so glad that you guys were able to join us. Thanks, Magnolia Beauty, for joining us today. I appreciate it. English Master Eli Azule, so glad that you were able to join us. You guys are amazing. Keep asking your questions. I love being able to help you guys on out. And be able to move forward. Now, we did have just one question I see here. Do you have them pay for some sessions before you give the assessment? I do not have them pay for sessions before the assessment. The whole goal here is for me to get to know their child and will I be a good fit for them? Because they are able to hear how well their child can read with me, a lot of them haven't heard their child read that well before, that they give them a little bit more slack. They don't read as quickly or any of that kind of stuff. So they're already able to see a result without me even doing anything with their child, just by doing the free assessment. So I think that's kind of amazing that it always works out. Like they always say at the end, I've never heard my kid read that well before. And it's because I'm putting them in just right text as well. Whereas they might be putting them in a book that would be too difficult. I'm really trying to find and gauge what is the right level for them. So I do not. However, I do collect right now, because I have so many people that are coming through, I do collect their credit card ahead of time. And so when they get started, they'll say, oh, I noticed that you need a credit card, but it's free. And I say, yep, that's just to hold your session. That way I have their credit card information. When they say yes and they're ready to get started, I can then, and I already send them the letter that tells them how payment works, and I charge them month by month. And so they will get a $400 charge on their credit card when sessions start. So that kind of helps me to actually make sure that the people that are reaching out to me are serious, because I have so many people reaching out to me. In the beginning, it's not something that I would try, because having that payment system on there is going to hold people back because they're not going to want to put their credit card in there, right? So that's just one thing that I've kind of learned. If you do have too many people that are wanting to work with you and you don't have that ability to work with them all, that's something you can throw on in there. It will quicken up the process for everything. Thanks for joining me today, you guys. On Thursday, you guys are in for a treat because I'm going to have Sean McCormick here. We are going to be talking all about, are you ready to start hiring tutors for your business? So come and join us on Thursday, 11:30 a.m. Central Time, and we will see you there. Bye, everyone. Have a wonderful rest of your day.